I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask that our district clerk leads us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. May I have a motion, please, that the agenda of May 27th, 2014 be approved as submitted? Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda as listed in your packet? Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. In your packet is the Treasurer's report for the month ending March 31st, 2014. May I have a motion, please, that the Treasurer's report, including the cash report, general fund cash report, general fund revenue status report, general fund budget status report, school lunch fund cash report, and school lunch fund revenue and expense budget report for the month ending March 31st, 2014 be approved? Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. And now the fun part, special reports. Welcome to robotics. Welcome. If you can please use the microphone so that people at home can hear you clearly.
So, hi, we're from Penfield Robotics. I'm Shayna, I'm a senior, and I'm on electrical controls.
Hi, I'm Mo. I'm a senior and I'm the team captain.
Hi, I'm Emil. I'm a freshman. I'm the human player.
So here's this year's mission statement, inspiring students to become leaders through engineering and the fun of FIRST Robotics. This year we've been celebrating our 10th season as a team, so it's kind of a big landmark for us.
On our team, we have 35 students, 26 mentors, 10 coming from our major sponsor, Harris. And 4 teachers, if you look over at our controls, we have honored 3 of them from the high school on our controls, and 1 is from the middle school.
We've had a very successful season this year, probably one of the best since I've been on the team. At our first regional, which was the Tech Valley Regional, it was its inaugural year, held at RPI in Albany. We won the Engineering Inspiration Award, which recognizes a team that has significant efforts towards spreading the FIRST message in promoting STEM and engineering among the youth of today. We were also honored as being one of the top 3 safest teams at the event. And then at our home regional at RIT, we won the Chairman's Award, which is the most honorable award that a team can win in FRC. It recognizes a team for community outreach and benefit. And then again, we were also honored as one of the top 3 safest teams at the event. And then at World Championships held in St. Louis, we brought 1 local Dean's List finalist with us from Pittsford, and we've helped teams from all over the world, and we also hosted the All-Rookie Meet and Greet, which is an event that we host to welcome the new teams into FIRST.
So here are some of our notable demonstrations and community services from this year. We did a multiple-day expo at the Rochester Museum and Science Center earlier this year, as well as doing Imagine RIT and several community services within our community.
Make a Difference Day Mega Drive is one of our major events and has expanded to Ruckus, our off-season competition we host, and Family Fun Night at the mall. This year alone, we have collected 637 food items, 1,634 books, 4,356 pounds of electronics, and $368 for Haiti disaster reliefs.
This year in our school outreach, we hosted a bottle and can recycling drive, as well as in the past we've had blood drive. Every year we've demonstrated at the club and activities fair, as well as the freshman orientation. We've also put robotics team into 4 district schools, and this year something that we had for new things is we started an FTC robotics program in the middle school, and that's the first FTC team that we've had in Penfield.
For some of our other events, we had Cha Ruckus, which was in last October, and basically it's another competition that we host for other teams like ourselves to get together and kind of have a competition off season from our main competition season. And this this event has kind of grown beyond the size of most regionals, so it's huge in size, and we help organize that at the Main Street Armory. As well as we had Rally here in the gymnasium in February, I believe, and that was really cool. We had some guest speakers from some really nice companies come.
Even though the school year is ending, our team keeps going. We will be participating in the 4th of July Parade, Park Ave Fest, Monroe County Fair, New York State Fair, and the Red Wings baseball game. Currently, or soon, we will be going to the first advocacy conference in Washington, where our team will be able to meet state representatives and senators to help promote STEM in New York State.
From some of the alumni on our team, we've had some very successful alumni. We have some alumni who have interned at Toyota, NASA, and Philips, and we're really proud of some of those statistics. We've also had 94% of our alumni go to college, and 89% of those alumni pursued STEM.
So this year we have 9 graduating seniors, me and Mo being part of that 9. This was a picture we took at the championships in St. Louis this year. So we're going to bring out the robot and kind of show off some of the skills from the robot. Bear with us, we have to get it over the bump. This year's robot had a really low center of gravity, so it can't make it over the bump because it's really low. So some of the features from this year's robot is we have a really great intake arm that can suck in and out the ball and kind of pass it off to other robots, which was a big part of this year's game, was to be able to like pass and cooperate with other robots. We also have a really cool shooter that's powered from 6 different motors, and here's a demonstration. So that has a varying different speed to give you different heights so that it can make it over a kind of bar and get into the goal. As well as this year we had autonomous vision tracking, which allowed us to autonomously kind of mark and get more points during a period where we could only have pre-programmed robot functions happen. So our drivers could not touch the controls. It was all pre-programmed and preset.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
We got assist.
So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being here this evening for your demonstration and for the people who are accompanying you. Before I open it up to board's comments and questions, I just want to tell you, out of all the robots we've seen, this is the most fun one, I think. So. Board members, any questions or comments? Camille?
Thank you for coming again. You're a great role model for a lot of the other clubs in the district, too. I love the way you have the Thunderbolts and everything. I'd love to hear, I'm sure that for you 2 seniors, Mo and Shayna, the fact that you participated in robotics was a big part of where you look to go to college or career. So I'd love to hear what your plans are next for you two.
Next year I'll be attending the University of Buffalo for an undergrad program, and I'm hoping to be accepted into the engineering program in the first semester and pursue engineering there.
I'll be going to RIT and pursuing packaging science as my major. Packaging science, it's a applied technology.
Other questions or comments? Mark?
We always think about robotics as just that, but what you show here is really ties back into our vision statement. We see this all the time. Every presentation we get this vision statement, but this is a a club. It's not part of our curriculum in terms of class, and you basically epitomize this with all the things that you do. And I hope that you and the other team members, as Camille said, try to take all these things that you've done and help transfer them to the other students and to the other clubs, because it really is amazing what you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Barb?
I'm always impressed. And are you doing an adult group? Can we join? Because I would love to do this. Yeah. Can you do some stuff with scrapbooking with these robots? That's my big thing. So, but thank you very much. I am very, very impressed and very excited for your future. And even you as a freshman, it's going to be exciting to see where it was now and where it will be next time.
A comment. I've had the excitement and enjoyment of attending the RIT competition, and what's missing from tonight that you can't get unless you're in a stadium filled with thousands of people and robots, and the ring and the announcer and the excitement and it's amazing, and you really can't understand it unless you see it. So I would personally invite all of the board members next year to attend that event at RIT. It's really amazing, and you need to go back. And it's kid-friendly and adult-friendly, and it's lots of fun, and you guys were awesome. I got a tour down on the floor to see the pit and see everything. It's unbelievable that level of precision and excellence exists, and it kind of just exists on its own within the entity of Penfield, with the leadership of our teachers and the advisors and the mentors who really, they eat, sleep, breathe, and bleed robotics here. And we are so grateful to have kids be able to be a part of that experience. So I thank you, the kids and the adults that are part of that.
And just also want to say Harris for continuing to support us
Yes.
throughout this. I mean, they've been with us for a long time, and we really appreciate all that they've done.
Definitely. Catherine?
And I would like to say that I'm very proud of your presentation. I think that you presented the whole program very well with a lot of confidence and pride. And I'm very proud that this is part of Penfield. I think you did a terrific job. So thank you very much for being here tonight. And good luck in the future with your college plans and everything.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming this evening. I think if we take all the banners and all the awards that you have and you try to display all of them at the high school, I think we can pretty much cover all the walls of Penfield High School. There's just so many of them. So, we're very, very proud of you. And every time we hear that you got the Chairman's Award, that's just such a great source of pride for us. And for some of the students, I don't know some of you, but some of you we've seen since elementary. And, watching you get to that point to the high school and knowing that you're graduating soon, we're very proud to have you for students. So thank you for making us look so good, and good luck. Right, thank you. All right, we now move on to our visitor speaking time, and I have one person in the audience who wishes to address the board, Mr. James Barton, 100 Brookwood Road. Good evening, welcome. If you can please use the microphone so that people who are at home can hear you once they watch the recording.
Put my glasses out here. Good evening. My name is Jim Barton. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I am the father of I'm father of 8th and 7th graders in the Bay Trail Middle School. My son took double accelerated algebra last year and is now studying geometry in 8th grade. My daughter is presently taking the double accelerated class. It is the elimination of the double accelerated class in the 7th grade proposed to the board at its May 6th meeting, toward which I wanted to address my comments tonight. I was present at the May 6th meeting, and I also studied the video of that session to make sure I understood the background and the implications of the proposal as the best I could. And so I believe I understand, in broad terms at least, the background to the proposal and its short and longer term implications. I cannot escape the conclusion that while limiting the 7th grade math to single accelerated only may solve an immediate issue in the 7th grade math curriculum, in the middle school math curriculum, doing so in the way proposed may also impose limits on the depth of mathematics education in the high school, and by implication on into post-secondary education. My impression is that it may do so by making obscure the course-by-course route by which capable and motivated younger students can advance by the end of high school to the highest level of calculus, a level that many of their older brothers and sisters have been able to reach. Fewer may reach that destination as a consequence, and in my view, that could be a problem. That is a problem. Facility in advanced calculus is not just a stepping stone toward more advanced mathematics. It is an essential foundation for accomplishment in the sciences and engineering. And Penfield's history of offering advanced calculus, Calculus 2, suggests that our district understands that fundamental intellectual reality and appreciates that advanced mathematics is a mainline, not a sideline course of study. As a concerned parent and a citizen of this district, I would therefore like to recommend that whatever shape the final recommendation on 7th grade math may take, it be accompanied by an enunciation of the route by which our children in younger grades will travel onward to advanced mathematics training in high school. In my view, that route should be no less clear and result in no fewer students traveling it than has been the case for several years, with the path starting until now with double accelerated algebra. Concerned parents like ourselves will have that expectation and will be very pleased if that level of clarity is presented to them. In closing, I would like to propose the solution of actually retaining and not ending the double accelerated algebra class. The benefit would be to leave unchanged what the stepping stones to advanced high school mathematics actually are, and more students following them. A few changes would, of course, be necessary. First, the algebra curriculum would need to be upgraded to assure that there are no longer any gaps remaining with Common Core standards, as has been the case over the past year. That may be possible now that Bay Trail teachers have an additional year of experience with those standards behind them. Second, students would have to work harder on classwork and homework than they have. I suspect that Penfield families may well accept that extra challenge if the payoff was a clear perspective on their children's mathematics future. That would certainly be the case in my family. Thank you very much for your consideration this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. We appreciate your comments. We now move on to our student representative. Good evening, Gwen.
Good evening. So last week, Thursday and Friday. Thursday was the day of caring, which was a huge success. We were on a couple news channels, or maybe all of them. I'm not really sure. I saw a couple people on some, read some articles from some other people. And after that day of caring, we had goat stock, which was really, it was one of the best ones that I've ever seen, that Mr. Gaby has ever seen. He said it was great. It was a really, really big success. Right now, ballpark, we're looking at a little over 600 to each school, maybe a little more, depends on how everything works out money-wise. But we raised over $1,000 just by ticket and T-shirt sales, and that doesn't count concessions. So highlight on some teams and sectionals. Girls track got second. Baseball is in semifinals. Softball is in semifinals. Girls lacrosse is in sectional finals. Boys lacrosse suffered a really hard defeat. Tomorrow is the senior solo concert and the final orchestra concert. So there are 6 seniors playing solos, and they're all in the RPYO and the HYSO.
Senior breakfast and banquet is soon. Thursday, this Thursday after Wednesday. So Wednesday's the orchestra concert and Thursday is the chorale concert with Uptown Express. And there are meetings upcoming for the Stratford Festival trip. So usually every year, Mr. Underborn, who is the Shakespeare teacher, takes a group of kids to Stratford to see a couple plays. It's usually a weekend, so this upcoming school year, it's going to be September 27th and 28th. And I know that everyone that goes on those trips say that they're spectacular and really, really incredible. So that's a great opportunity that's offered to students.
Thank you, Gwen. Any questions or comments, board members? All right, thank you. Yes.
Gwen is so modest that she accompanied me to an outstanding senior recognition dinner last Wednesday night with her mother and grandmother. And she was honored among all the other districts, had one senior that was an outstanding senior. So out of all of our seniors in Penfield, Gwen was recognized at that dinner and received a little gift and recognition. So wonderful.
All right, congratulations. We now move on to superintendent's reports. Dr. Grimm?
Okay. We're going to start with some student and staff honors, and then we've got some presenters from the high school to talk about the Monroe County Youth Risk Behavior Survey data and the implications of that data. We also have Jim Pfeiffer, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, to show us a Office of Curriculum and Instruction Strategic Action Plan and a Professional Learning Plan. And we have on the calendar tonight the school calendar, so after tonight hopefully it'll be official and we're going to share publicly what some of those key dates are. We had the National Honor Society induction with 62 high school students being inducted at the spring induction ceremony. In math and physics honors, sophomore Alan Liu received several math and physics honors. He has received the Asian Pacific Math Olympiad Gold Medal. He is a USA Math Olympiad winner, and he earned a spot on the United States of America International Math Olympiad team and the U.S. Physics team. Just outstanding for Alan and for Penfield. Poster contest, Indian Landing fifth grader Nia Goodwill was named the winner of the Earth Day poster contest sponsored by Assemblyman Joe Robach. On these next honors, I'm not going to read every single name, but I will leave the slide up there and I'll state which award it is for. This is for the language exam honors, the National Spanish Exam, Level 5, Gold, Silver, Bronze, and Honorable Mention. The National Spanish Exam, Level 4, Silver, Bronze, and Honorable Mention. The National Spanish Exam Level 3, Gold, Silver, Bronze, and Honorable Mention. The National Latin Awards, Maxima Cum Laude, Magna Cum Laude, Summa Cum Laude, Cum Laude. Medusa Mythology Award, Gold, Silver, Bronze, Honorable Mention. German AATG Awards, Silver, Bronze, Honorable Mention, and National French Awards, Honorable Mention, Level 4, Level 3, and Level 2. Okay, congratulations to all those outstanding students who perform so well on those competitive exams. And now we have Dr. Putnam, who will introduce his guests and present us with the summary of the findings related to the Youth Risk Behavior Survey.
We have to follow robotics, so we don't have any robots. We're not as exciting. But we're here to present as Dr. Grimm said, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey findings. And I have with me Mary Beth Walker, who is our Director of PE and Health and just about everything else at the high school. And I have Terry Febri, our Assistant Principal. This year has the junior class. Next year, very soon, the senior class. And I'll turn it over to Terry to start.
Before we talked about the data, we thought we'd tell you a little bit about the survey itself. You'll see it abbreviated often as YRBS, and it's the Youth at Risk Behavior Survey. It was created by the CDC to gather information and analyze data related to the choices that students make. It started in 1991, and it's been given every 2 years since 1991, but in 2011, it's now only required every 4 years. However, most of the area districts, including ourselves, will continue with the 2-year cycle. A lot's changed since 1991, so local schools do have the option to modify the survey to reflect new choices that students face, like electronic cigarettes and internet, that type of thing. Monroe County does utilize the data to support grants and initiatives that are countywide. Our high school looks at the data to analyze behaviors and trends in the behaviors of our students, and it also gives us an opportunity to look at our programming and our curriculum and make recommendations in terms of additions or modifications. Last time we administered it, it was in June of 2013. You can see we had a little over 1,300 students from grades 9 through 12 responding to the survey, and the next administration will be in the spring of 2015.
Some positive findings from the survey. We're looking at dietary behaviors and health-related self-advocacy. Over 60% of our students report sleeping 7 or more hours each night. 86% of our students chose proper dieting and exercise to manage their weight rather than making unhealthy choices. Under safe decision-making, since 2001, students report that they drank alcohol and drove, dropped 50%. During the past 12 months, 91% of our students reported that they did not engage in physical altercations on school property. And between 2009 and 2013, the number of students reporting a suicide attempt dropped from 14 to 8%, which is a 43% decrease based on the number of students who have taken the survey. Tobacco and drug use. Use of tobacco dropped 68% between 2001 and 2013, and marijuana has dropped 23%. And once again, these percentage points equal based on the number of students that took the survey and the percentage of those students engaging.
We have Dr. Maloney in the background for statistical questions, but I did work with our folks in our data team that Mr. Pfeiffer does a great job. So I'd like to be able to just end on the positive note, but the Youth Risk Behavior Survey brings up a lot of information that we take very seriously. There's a couple slides just to show it helps. So this one is hard to see up there, but it's drinking and driving, attempted suicide the past 12 months, and physical fight on school property the past 12 months. And you can see, I think, the nice piece with the visual is there's some ups and downs, but it is a statistical downhill, which is what we like to see. And this one, the top line is smoked tobacco in the past 30 days, and the top line is marijuana, lifetime, anybody who's tried marijuana. And then the bottom line is smoked tobacco in the last 30 days, which we use as a judgment of someone who's smoking more often than just a one-time. So the target areas, and we take a look at our Youth Risk Behavior Survey data through quite a few lenses. Ms. Febri takes a look at it, the health teachers looks at it, Ms. Walker looks at it. We get together and take a look at the data as well. So we look at it through quite a few lenses because we take it very seriously. And we know that we're always going to have issues, but we want to make sure that we're addressing the big ones. So we sort of, for this presentation, tried to thematically look at them. And the first area is concerns with unhealthy relationships. Some examples of the data we pulled that we find this is a concern for the high school is that 9% reported that they were slapped, hit, or physically hurt by their boyfriend or girlfriend. And that represents, while 9% is small, it represents 112 students who took the survey. And that's where our concern for student safety and well-being comes into play. 18% reported either being bothered or harassed through electronic media, social media, and text messages. And 14% reported actually being the bully to someone else through electronic media. So 2 areas of concern. And I'll talk about what we're doing to address all of these in the next slide. I'm actually going to change this a little bit because as I was looking at this evening, I'm going to jump down to the 3rd bullet first, which is concerns with electronic cigarettes. We have some really good positive data that Mary Beth shared with you that we have tobacco use at an all-time low. However, we have 21% reporting that they tried an e-cigarette in the past 12 months and 6% reporting that 3 or more days of e-cigarette use in a 30-day period, so not just a one-time try. We're seeing, not just us, but across Monroe County, a spike in e-cigarettes and less tobacco, more e-cigarettes. The reason I wanted to use that one second is because when I take a look at the 2nd bullet, concerns with mental and emotional health, I didn't feel comfortable following it up with electronic cigarettes because this is a serious issue for our high school, which is 35% reported that they were unsure or did not matter to people in their community. 25% of the students who took their survey reported feeling sad or hopeless for 2 or more weeks at a time. 16% considered suicide within the last 12 months. And 4% reported that during a suicide attempt, they actually injured themselves to the point of requiring medical attention. And so this is an area we take very seriously. We've presented before on TIG, trauma, illness, and grief, and Sue Coomer is very involved with that. And one of the lines from anybody who's been TIG trained is, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And in our Penfield history, we've unfortunately had to deal with the aftermath of students making decisions that harm themselves or take their own life. So what do we do with that? The slide here is concerns with social media. It's just an example of where we see that spike for the online bullying, which I think goes around mental health as well. And the reason I showed the slide too is you'll notice that the first time they ever asked this question was in 2007. And so that's why it doesn't go all the way back to 2001. So areas that we're looking to address this, and again, it comes back to the team approach at Penfield High School and trying to get lots of people together. A couple people that couldn't be here tonight but have worked with us are our health teachers and Steph Dana, the department counseling chair. And addressing concerns with the unhealthy relationships, we modified the health curriculum. The health teachers, working with Mary Beth, modified the health curriculum to address issues more specifically. So taking what they learned from the survey to really focus and be very hypersensitive around sexual abuse prevention and cyber safety. As the board is aware, we took place in the first ever Healthy Relationship Week, which was a great partnership with the Penfield community, the larger Penfield community, as well as the school district. And we're currently reviewing some things we've done in the past, one of them calling Pause Before You Post. We don't know if we'll do something like that again, but something that addresses reminding students and adults the power of online behavior. In terms of addressing concerns with mental and emotional health, we did enact a school-wide mental health team, and we meet, I meet with the mental health team every Tuesday, and then every last Tuesday of every month, all the administrators, the nurse, the psychologist, the social worker, Ted Amon, our Delphi drug and alcohol prevention counselor, all come together to meet to discuss concerns we have with individual students, with groups of students, with trying to all stay as a team in the sort of that it takes a parent to, or it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same mentality that while it might not be my student in my grade level or my student on my counseling roster, if we all know who we need to be keeping an eye out for, it helps. We have a committee set up reviewing right now and assessing the Signs of Suicide program, which we put into place about 7 years ago.
2009.
2009, so I can't do math that quick. So, but it's been there for 4 years ago. So thank you. So 4 years ago, the SOS program went into place, and that's taught in the health classrooms with the counselors supporting them. And we think it's time to take a look at that and see if it's doing what it needs to do, if there's a better program out there, or if we want to create one of our own. And we're going to be continuing to meet for the rest of this school year, looking at next year. Close monitoring of students through counseling and mental health team. Ms. Febri can tell you, as a grade level administrator, she meets with the counselors once a week and reviews students and talks about concerns and tries to share things so we can be on the fighting edge of helping students out. And use of electronic cigarettes, I know that we're looking at the Penfield Code of Conduct to address e-cigarettes, and the board's, I know, taking an active stance on that, and we appreciate it. I addressed the student body through the morning show announcements, talking to all the kids about what we're seeing, which was we're having more kids do it. These are what the consequences are if you do. These are the concerns we have, because it's something that we go right to the student body to talk about what our concerns are. We put a lot of information in the Observer, thanks to Ted Amen, our drug and alcohol counselor, and try to get that factual information out there. We do believe from all the research that students and adults find e-cigarettes to be a better alternative than tobacco, and they might be if you're trying to quit cigarettes, but if you start smoking nicotine e-cigarettes, they are very, very addictive, more addictive than some of the drugs that are out there. It's a very big concern, and we want to try to get this information into the hands of parents as well as our students. And then we actually have required sessions with the Delphi counselor, Mr. Amen, when e-cigarette incidents take place, because maybe hearing it from the drug and alcohol counselor can be helpful, as opposed to just parents and just the administrator and just the counselor. No questions? Okay.
Wait a second.
Thought I'd slide that one in.
Well, thank you for coming to talk about a very important topic and not a very easy one. So, board members, questions, comments. Karen?
I use my calculator on my phone, Leslie.
Karen, your microphone.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Thank you.
In the 9% statistics of drink and drive, out of the 1,300 kids that took it, they're not, I'm guessing, maybe 400 are eligible to drive? So that percentage is really, of those that are able to drive, it seems to be a higher weight of those that are choosing to drink and drive. So, that's a concern to me, because you're only taking it from the senior and maybe a handful of juniors that are able to drive. So that statistic, even though it's gone down to 9%, that's still really an alarming concentrated number in there. It makes me nervous.
I think most of the juniors, because I have them this year, they drive as well, so that number would go up around 700 or 800.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the question, though, that was worded, if they've been in a car with the drunk driver or driven drunk themselves.
2 questions.
They're separate questions.
They're separate
Okay.
questions, yeah.
My next question is about the drug use. Is heroin use specifically addressed or questioned? Because in the media that has just exploded.
We've got some of the numbers in terms of the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. We have concerns when the percentage is very low in terms of what the realistic percentage is, because there's students taking the survey. I would tell you that it's an issue in all of the East County schools. It's something we're aware of, which is why we're very lucky to have Ted Amen working with our student population and trying to sort of step in front of it when we have those concerns. But it's one, as I think everybody sitting up here as working in a public school, is we're aware of it. We work with the Monroe County Sheriffs. We work with our counselors through Delphi to try to do whatever we can. The health curriculum focuses on many different drugs, but especially the impact of things that they're seeing in the current events in the media news right now.
And that's a question I've been looking at over time, and even though heroin use is mushrooming in Monroe County, it's stayed pretty consistent with our numbers. It hasn't gone, it's stayed the same number for a few surveys now.
That's, Penfield was, I want to say about 12 years ago, the district with the fastest growing heroin use. And, you know, I mean, I just, now that it's all in the media and, you know, I mean, so close by, I'm so glad you're keeping an eye on that and know that, you know, with students taking the survey, they're not always, you know, the most upfront about the more serious or very serious things. Which leads me to ask, with e-cigarettes, do you also ask about nicotine gum use?
That's a good question. I don't think there's a question on nicotine gum use.
But
So-
one thing I can tell you that we do meet with the Monroe County Health Department and all the local representatives every year when we do the survey, and we talk about current trends that we're seeing within our own students and in comparable districts, and we update questions. We like to keep, obviously, the questions the same majority of the survey, so we can see the trend data, but we will look at e-cigarettes, I know has been in the front. Heroin, since it's in the media, will probably add additional questions. So whatever the current trends are, we like to add some questions in there to identify what our kids are doing at the point in time the survey's given.
Just, I mean, without being able to recall the specifics of the policy, if we also prohibit that in school. Thank you. Nicotine. Thank you.
Mark?
A lot of these are sort of self-inflicted bad behaviors, but what about the outwardly violent tendencies? Are we looking at the number of kids who are thinking about being violent to other people, not just not just the violence to relationships, but just the general outwardly violent?
Yeah, they've got, one of the questions we do focus in there is that the second one that we see as a positive finding for safe decision-making is around reporting that they didn't engage in a physical altercation on school property. So I don't believe there's questions in terms of, we have suicidal questions or questions about feeling a suicide, but not about large-scale violence or anything like that.
There are questions related to, once again, the survey is approximately 94 questions, so there's multiple questions on each topic. So there are questions related to use of weapons or carrying weapons. Do they feel safe coming to school, leaving school, on school grounds? So there's multiple questions related to violence, drugs and alcohol and all the different topics. So yes, Broadside, we kind of just highlighted certain questions, but we're happy to actually, if you would like, we can provide you with all the actual questions so that you can see the survey.
Thank you.
Yep.
Gwen?
As a student perspective, and because I was just reading an NPR article about it, I can't remember, does this survey have a question at the end that's like, did you answer all these questions honestly?
It does not. What the survey has built in is, like I said, under each topic, there's multiple questions related to the topic, and they're asked in different manners so that we cross-reference the questions so that we can kind of look at the validity of how the students are answering. And then we do a screening process based on time it took the students to take it because it's on the computer. So we do have some points where we look at for validity, but there is not a question.
Just like from a student perspective, like sitting in the room where people take the surveys, there's always like, ha, click, 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 so just,
I will tell
it's
you
a really serious topic, and I know that there are some researchers who have done the research on kids not actually answering honestly and how it's affecting the data.
I will tell you that you could be a principal, because it's not just a kid question. That was my first concern when I got introduced to Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and Mary Beth Walker did a great job explaining and taking a look at the way that they use statistics to validate the survey is being able to look at those multiple question checks to cross-reference that if you answered the question this way on question 10 and you answered it completely different on question 17 or on question 70, they're able to sort of cross-reference which questions come out, which data comes out, because it's not a realistic survey. And with, way back to my U of R days, the larger number of students you can have take it, it does all come out in the wash. And then Terry, I know, works with Seven-Town Alliance a few years ago in terms of looking at, they also compare against Monroe County schools. So if we have a percentage of, 90% is doing something, but all of other Monroe County is at 10%, we question our data before we jump with it. So it's a great question because it's one that I had, so. Must be.
Thank you. John, you have a question?
I know there's been a significant mortality rate in use of synthetic marijuana versus regular marijuana. Is there a differential in the questioning on that to ask in regard to use of either one, or is there?
I believe there's multiple questions
Okay.
related to synthetic.
Yeah, because the mortality rate just seems to be
Yes.
growing immensely. The other thing in regard to the e-cigs, the state legislature just recently started looking at this, which could be a good thing, generally. So we may see something by the end of the year that delineates age and some other factors, which I think is a great idea. So, I think every little bit helps, but it just came on their radar, and there's been a couple of bills introduced, trying to really regulate age, regulate the industry, possibly ban them outright. So there's going to be a struggle. I'm not sure if we'll get accomplished this year, but it's out there, which I think is in all of our favor.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Just in closing, for us, I want to just, first of all, we appreciate being asked to come here and present on the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. But we use it, and we take a look at it, we take it seriously. But as I sit up here with two wonderful staff members and know that I have a high school of teachers and adults looking out for our students, it's a survey. And so we use it, but what really helps us stay in front of students to support them, both for their mental health and their drugs and their alcohol use and those decisions that we would consider destructive for their future, is the teacher in the classroom, the counselor meeting with them on a regular basis, Ted Amon, our psychologists, our social workers, our clerical, our TAs, our custodians who know our kids. It's every single adult in this building, because our nurses, I know I'm going to leave one out, but it's everybody that's working together, that when they hear something, even if it's overheard in the hallway, they report it immediately and we look into it. We're not always there to give consequences. We're there to try to call a parent and say, this is what we're hearing. And, while this is not consequence related, you need to know, that we're concerned about drug use or about choices online. And so the survey is wonderful. It helps us, but it's the human beings in the school every day that are working with the kids. And so I just thank my staff that are here tonight.
Can I ask a few questions?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So,
All right.
Sorry to sneak out of there with the closing, guys. No.
Well, you mentioned information in the Observer, trying to reach the parents there. How do you try to reach the students?
We, a couple of ways. It goes through our grade level administrators and counselors, as well as our morning show where we address all the students. I know Ms. Febri does
Grade level seminars?
grade level seminars and addresses concerns that we're seeing, like the rising use of e-cigarettes. Our coaches are aware through Pete Shambo, so it's just a constant conversation with the students. They, like their teenagers, and so we can talk to them, and we get the information to parents, and so we're hoping that, parents and school and home talking together, we'll get to many more.
Okay. And you presented about the high school. What about middle school, elementary? I mean, it's starting at a younger and a younger age every year. So what are we doing there? Or, you don't have enough information to present about that.
The survey we focused on was just the high school, because we had that consistent data from offering it. We're going to offer it every 2 years. As we said, Monroe County moved to 4, but left the choice for us to offer every 2, and we find it important. So I don't have enough data to speak on elementary and middle school.
That's fine. Have you seen at the high school an increase in suspension because of, e-cigarettes or anything where people might be breaking the code of conduct?
We've actually seen a continued decrease in flattening out of our suspension rate overall, but where we've seen an increase is, I would say, e-cigarettes. We don't go to an out-of-school suspension for e-cigarettes. It's typically an in-school suspension, a first and sometimes even second offense. But I would say we continue to see e-cigarettes as being an issue.
Okay, all right. And my last question, I was writing when everybody was asking. You mentioned the Seventh Town Alliance. Is that what it is? So that's, the meeting that used to happen years and years ago at the time where we used to have asset coordinator. And so we still participate in that, where we get together with other school districts and compare. Can you say a little bit more about this?
That
Turn
was,
to Terry for that.
yeah, that was a part, when I was the chair of the Health and Wellness Committee, that was part of my duties, was to go to that. That position no longer exists, so I don't go to that. We have tried to send the health teachers. I think they've gone to a couple of those. One of the other problems it does conflict with our monthly mental health meetings. It's usually at the same time.
Okay.
But they still keep us, I think Mary Beth sent it too, and the health teachers are in the email loop, so we get all the information from there.
Okay.
As much as we can
So
from
for
there.
the last few years, we haven't had someone attending the meetings on a regular, same-person basis. But again, it's that email communication with what's shared out, so we can look at the other Monroe County schools' data.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Like I said before, it's a very tough topic, to bring up, and, especially basing it on a survey, which is, data from our students. And I do agree with Gwen, sometimes you kind of wonder how much of it is true, but there's got to be some of these numbers that are true. And we look forward to more initiatives like the ones like the healthy relationships that we had this year, more initiatives addressing other areas highlighted
And I'm
in the
sorry, just
survey.
one final note related to your middle school question. We're all back on cycle, so that this coming school year, 14-15, we will have data 6 through 12
That's great.
to
Great.
report on, so.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much for this report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to have a presentation on the Office of Curriculum and Instruction Strategic Action Plan and Learning Plan. One of the goals that I set for myself, or proposed in the fall, was to develop a strategic action plan for the district-level Office of Curriculum and Instruction. We have school improvement plans from buildings that are aligned with district-level goals, and we wanted to make sure that we have alignment throughout the system, from district down to the school building, but then also the plan that drives the actions of the district-level Office of Curriculum and Instruction. So we're going to hear from Assistant Superintendent Jim Pfeiffer regarding that. The second piece of this presentation is a professional learning plan, or what you might know as a professional development plan, that is something that we're required by law to develop. And we're going to present that to you tonight and hope for your approval of that at the next meeting, and then we'll put it on file with the State Education Department. So with that introduction, I want to introduce Jim Pfeiffer.
Thank you, Dr. Grimm. And it's hard to believe that we're at about my 13-month anniversary of board appointment to Assistant Superintendent for Instruction, and rapidly closing in on 1 year of service in the position. So with that, I would certainly expect that there be an expectation of okay, what are you going to do now? And there's challenges. I remember when I started my coursework for administration, one of my instructors saying it's one thing to move into a school or a building that is in great need of repair and work to improve achievement. It's a completely different animal to move into a very high-performing school or district and keep it that way. And so that's what we've been really working on in my conversations with the Office of Instruction team, with Dr. Maloney and Mrs. Wright, as well as Lynn Rainey and the data team, all working together to try and figure out how do we continue to maintain and improve upon the level of performance here in Penfield. And I think we've got an idea of how we can move forward with that and really build upon what we've done here. So some highlights of this plan that I'm going to share with you today, and that you have the full version of in your packets that Marcia sent to you. This is very closely aligned, as I'll show you, with the Board of Education strategic plan and goals. In fact, it's directly aligned, and that was very purposeful. It builds upon current and prior initiatives. One of the things that I think we discovered, or I discovered through the process and learned with Dr. Grimm through my time in trying to assimilate with the district and having conversations with administrators and teachers, is where has the district been? What efforts have they made to achieve the level that we've achieved at? And how can we build upon that, not being new people coming in bringing new things. We've got enough of that comes down from the state, so we've had many conversations about, but how can we build upon and go from where we've been and continue to achieve at a very high level. There's been many times that I've had conversations with Dr. Sansucci, as well as Mrs. Gallagher and even Mr. Maloney there, where I've had to walk into their offices and pull up my new guy card. And it's getting pretty beat up, and it expires here in another month, so it's about time we get moving. This plan will also align our efforts both vertically and horizontally to ensure that we are continuing to prepare our students for the next level, from the primary grades to the intermediate grades, to the middle school grades, to the high school, and then beyond. Also, it gives us the opportunity to prioritize the work that we need to do in order to continue to achieve at a high level, regardless of the initiatives that are placed upon us. It's also a means of gathering input from teachers and administrators to provide the necessary support that they need in a cohesive manner through the entirety of the Office of Instruction, so that we're working together, not as individual groups or people, but together to provide everyone the support they need to ensure success. And again, a key word through all of this that I've discovered is it's collaborative. And just like the mission and vision and the strategic plan for the district, it is about collaboration. So I want to just kind of move through our mission, vision, and goal statements, and I've kind of just underlined a couple of key words throughout that I found to be a theme throughout. And when I've shared this information with teachers, teacher leaders, and the administrative team, I haven't had the highlights in there. I've asked them to kind of read these slides on their own and reflect back on our mission and vision. And one of my goals is that we do more of that. Because I think we move on. We're so hurried in time often that while we've seen it, as Mr. Elledge said, we don't often, I think, closely read it and think about what it means and what we're really committing to. So I won't be reading them to you tonight, but I do want to point out some of this key language about the work that we're doing, being learners who are going to work collaboratively. And also that we are going to be communities of learners. The language here, I think, is very purposeful, and we'll touch on that again, but it is about communities, it is about collaboration, it is about learning, not just the learning of our students, but the learning of our professionals, our teachers, our administrators, everyone involved. Again, this is the slightly smaller words, but again, you see, we're looking for those highest academic standards. We're looking at maximizing the potential of our teachers and thereby maximizing the potential of our students. And again, you see the word collaboration. And I want to go back to that, the bottom one too, embracing change. This plan is a means to embrace change, similar to what we're being faced with in the Regents Reform Agenda. It's not about just conquering that, but it's how do we manage those types of things when they change, because they will change again, probably sooner than we'd like. And it's about a shared responsibility and mutual accountability. How are we holding each other accountable for ensuring the success of our students, for ensuring that we as administrators are providing our teachers with the tools that they need to help our students be successful. And again, you see the word collaboration and all students belonging to all of us. I do believe, and I've said many times, and it started, I think, with my presentation on opening day of this school year, that the potential of this district is amazing. The human capital that we have in this district is unbelievable. And if we can tap into that through working together, through collaboration, the sky is absolutely the limit. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what we're capable of and what we're helping our students be capable of in the district. And our teachers and our administrators, the people that we have here, and there's members of our professional learning committee in the audience, and they're proof of that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Certainly, our working together is key to our success. So a quick review of the district goals: academic achievement and excellence, a safe and engaging learning environment, and helping students reach their full potential. And these 4 questions I've discovered truly are key to what we do and need to drive our work moving forward as a district and our collaboration, and we'll touch on how those align within the plan in a moment. So how will the Office of Instruction work to help the district achieve goal number 1? First and foremost, we'll be working toward the development and implementation of guaranteed and viable curricula, K-12, all content areas. Marzano's research tells us that that is the number 1 school controllable factor. We need to be consistent in all classes of the same course and the same content. We need to be sure that we're aligned in that effort and that we're working together in that effort. We need to make sure that we are using, with those curricula, evidence and research-based instructional strategies, the most effective strategies possible to help our students be successful. We need to make sure that we have a balanced and coherent system of assessments so that we have the right mix of assessments that determine if students have learned what we intended them to learn, but also assessments that give us the information we need to adjust course along the way and meet students at their levels and bring them up to the level of expectation of the standards. And going back to that guaranteed and viable curricula, it is essential that those curricula are aligned to the appropriate standards so that we can ensure student success. And last, what we have, I believe, in the district already is it's a renowned system for a framework for response to intervention. The Diamond model, we have area districts and other districts coming to look at how we provide response to intervention services. That framework is outstanding. But what we need to, I think, where we can improve upon that is ensuring, again, with the balanced system of assessments, that we're assessing the right things at the right time and getting the best data. And then again, going back to research and evidence-based strategies to address student needs and provide enrichments to students who need that as well. So how does that align to those 4 questions? Well, we go back to what do we want all students to know? That is our guaranteed and viable curricula. And within that, those research and evidence-based instructional strategies is how we help ensure that they know it and that they learn it. How will we know if they've learned it? That's our balanced and coherent system of assessments. We need to ensure that those assessments are in place, that we're not just talking about the New York State assessments or end-of-unit assessments or end-of-year assessments, but also our universal screening assessments, our progress monitoring assessments, formative assessments that are happening every day and constantly throughout lessons in teachers' classrooms, little tickets out the door where teachers give students a sample problem and check their understanding before they leave so that they know where they need to pick up the class the next day and keep them moving in the right direction. We need to be planful about those and planful about the way we're examining that data. What will we do if students haven't learned it, and what will we do if they already know it? There's our tiered system of interventions again. And again, we need to make sure we're implementing research and evidence-based instructional strategies within that. So that language that we talk about, those 4 essential questions in our strategic plan, line right up with the efforts that we're going to be working toward as an Office of Instruction with our teachers. This is a document that I refer to as the Ensured Focus on Learning document. And this is a system for us to kind of understand where we are and track our progress toward achieving that desired state of having the guaranteed and viable curricula in place, of having the balanced system of assessments in place, of having tiered interventions in place, and the research and evidence-based instructional strategies in between there, but also an area where our teams of teachers who are working together on these projects can tell us what their needs are. What professional development do you need to ensure that you have guaranteed and viable curricula for your course? What professional development do you need to ensure you've got the right balanced system of assessments and that you're using instructional strategies that are evidence or research based? And what technology can we give you to support that? We want that teacher input because we have teacher teams who are at varying levels of success and varying levels of achievement in terms of where they are in this process. Some groups have guaranteed and viable curricula in place. Other groups were just beginning that process. This document gets broken out by grade level, by content area, and by course to determine where we are. And it's difficult to see the key because of the size, but it's color-coded. Things are green if they're in place, they're yellow if they're developing, they're orange if we don't really know, and they're red if they're not there yet. And over the next 5 years, we hope to see progress from areas that are red and orange and yellow into the green. This is going to be a long journey. It's going to be a great deal of work, but I think our teachers are excited about knowing what lies ahead and knowing that there's a plan in place. It's been shared, this document's been shared with administrative leadership as well as teacher level leadership so that we can begin this process this spring, and we're already moving forward with some curriculum development to address our areas of need as well. But this is a tracking system that we'll be using to help us measure our progress. In terms of goal number 2, we'll be looking at making sure that when we're making decisions and we're talking about this, we are including the appropriate administrators. We have administrative leadership as building principals and assistant principals who oversee curricular areas. We have our directors who oversee curricular areas. So teacher leadership as well. So we'll be gathering that input through the work we're doing with our teacher level teams to move forward and build those partnerships. And finally, we'll be doing our best to reach our goals within the budgets that are set, to be planful in our budgets, and make sure that I'm not constantly going to Dr. Sansusti or Mr. Maloney asking for more money to achieve our desired state. We're getting better at it. In terms of an evaluation, similar to the information that the board looks at, we'll be looking at much of our summative assessment data, so those end-of-year assessments, or the New York State assessments, the Regents assessments, the SATs, ACTs, looking at our graduation rates, looking at our school report cards. Those are our ultimate measures of progress. How are our students doing when they leave Penfield? But also looking at that insured focus on learning document and getting information back from our grade level and district level professional learning teams toward their SMART goals. As we said, we have action plans at each building, and then within each building at the high school and middle school level, our teams of teachers in the departments are setting SMART goals that they're working toward throughout the year. And those should be aligned to our strategic plan as well. So getting feedback as to how they're doing on achieving their goals will be means of evaluation for the plan. Like any good plan, it's not set in stone. We'll be looking at it, tracking progress, and adjusting course as necessary. But this is the course that we're setting as an Office of Instruction for the next 5 years to hopefully maintain that level of excellence that the district has come to enjoy. Are there any questions about the strategic plan before I move on to the professional learning plan?
Board members, any questions? Mark?
A couple of questions. And first one is, when you talk about guaranteed and viable, when you say guaranteed, that means a lot of different things. Help me understand what that means.
It means we know what it contains. It's aligned to standards. It has content. It has skills. It has assessments. It may also have key academic vocabulary. And in some cases may also include resources where appropriate. But it's available to all students. And it makes sense. It's an engaging curriculum. It's one that will help our students be successful. So guaranteed means everybody knows what it is, and everybody who's supposed to be using it is using it. And it's an equal opportunity to learn for all students at a grade level in a course, regardless of which building they're in or which teacher they have for that course. And viable, again, is that engaging piece, that it's aligned, it's engaging, and it's helping students achieve success.
Thank you. The other one is related to when you talk about working with the community. One thing we need to keep in mind are the parents, because we count on the parents to help us teach our children. You know, we do it, they help us. And all of us here are parents, and it's very easy for a parent to become overwhelmed with communication or not get the right communication. I think the school's done a lot of good things with Infinite Campus. For me personally, all of our teachers have reached out with emails on a regular basis. We also need to make sure it's effective, that the parents really, we almost have to train the parents to help us. And as you look at this, include them in essentially the faculty. You think of the faculty, how can we train them to help us support the students as they go through the education? So it's just something that I think would be, we need to keep in mind.
Thank you. I think we're working toward that. As if you've seen, I know Dr. Maloney and Nicole Whitehead have been working to update, for example, the math portion of the instruction website to include some resources for parents to assist their students at home as we've tried to work through the Common Core math implementation and things of that nature. And I think that's the type of thing that you're talking about, and we're continue to work on our parent communication and how we can help them help the kids.
Absolutely. I know you've done many things, and we just got to make sure that they are getting the results that we want.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Danielle?
I also had a question about the guaranteed and viable curricula, in which you did a great job of defining for us. I'm just wondering about the origin of the term or the inspiration, because I don't remember hearing that before. Is it SED? Is it Common Core Standards? Is it something that you
No, it's not. I wish I could claim it as my own. I'd be writing books and have as much money as Dr. Marzano. That's part of Marzano's work.
Okay.
Guaranteed and viable curriculum.
All right, thank you.
It's also, and a lot of this goes back to the work around professional learning communities, which, again, going back to that notion of building upon where the district has been. Dr. Marzano's been part of that work, but also the DeFores and Robert Aker and several others. But when you read the literature about professional learning communities, which the district really began that journey under Mr. Carlabati a long time ago, or I shouldn't say too long time ago, but maybe 5-7 years ago, that the strategic plan is really well aligned with the language of professional learning communities, and that's really what kind of brought all this to the forefront on where we should go from there.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Barb?
I just wanted to comment on your strategic action plan. As a fellow educator, I think this is a great tool to have to help the teachers
see where the, the needs are, or, where each student is. So that's really nice.
Thank you.
Any other board member? Thank you.
All right, moving on to our professional learning plan. I want to start by recognizing the members of the committee. You recall back in January, the board approved the appointment of these individuals to the professional learning. It was then the Professional Development Plan Committee. But through our work together, we really like the idea of it being a professional learning plan rather than a professional development plan, and so we've coined it that. But we do have several members in the audience today, and if they could please stand up, I would greatly appreciate it. We don't, Tim is not able to join us, Lori was not able to join us, but Terry is here. If she could please stand up. Wendy is here. Dr. Maloney is here. Pat McDonald is not able to join us. Lynn is here. Please stand up. Our parent representative, Jonna McCooey, and Aaron Wade wasn't able to join us either, but thank you for standing. And again, I know I said it during the meetings and I said it in an email, but the work that we did was outstanding, and you were key players in that, and I appreciate your time and effort. It was a great group to work with. They did a wonderful job, and we did things in an extraordinarily efficient manner. I think we accomplished a yeoman's task in developing our professional learning plan that will hopefully guide us through the next 5 years together. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that process, but thank you all again very much. I greatly appreciate your time and effort. Highlights of the plan, again, it's again directly aligned. As you read the plan, it starts off with the board's strategic plan, which is the same as the strategic plan for the Office of Instruction. And again, it's very purposeful in that we are very tightly aligned. One of the things we often hear is that there's always more added to the plate and more added to the plate, and I wanted to be very careful in that we weren't adding more, but rather providing direction on how to accomplish our goals within this framework. Again, building upon our current and prior initiatives. It's developed collaboratively as required by the stakeholders. The Commissioner's regulations regarding professional development plan are very clear regarding who should be participating in the development of the plan and what that process looks like. So we did that according to those requirements. We started with the New York State Professional Development Standards, and a great deal of the committee's work through our first 3 meetings was really digging into the professional development standards and their attributes and having discussions around what does that look like in Penfield and what do we want it to look like in Penfield. In fact, our first meeting, our goal was to get through all 10 standards. I think we made it through 2. Because the discussions were so in depth, but we did get through them, and we did move on. And finally, the plan fulfills the requirements that are set forth in Commissioner's regulations and has all of the required components in it. So to tell you a little bit about the process for developing the plan, as I said, we started with looking at the standards and really having conversations on where we are and where we wanted to be and how it could help us achieve the goals. After we got done with the digging into the standards, we then looked at the Commissioner's regulations and the requirements for plans and examined other plans from other districts to pick out portions of those plans that we liked and things that we didn't feel should be included in a plan. And from that led us to drafting a plan, which we then talked about, had conversations about, shared, revised, and finally polished up enough to bring to the board for presentation tonight. And you have the full copy of the plan as provided to you by Marcia in your packet. So again, how will our professional learning plan help us achieve goal number 1? Well, if the Office of Instruction Action Plan is to ensure that we're going to develop and implement guaranteed and viable curricula, we need to make sure that we're providing our teachers with the appropriate professional development to accomplish that task. So certainly we want to make sure that we have that in place, that we are providing professional development and supporting professional development opportunities for our teachers around the development of common formative and common summative assessments and effective assessment techniques, and also the analysis of the data that we gather through those effective assessment techniques. That we are continuing to send our teachers and provide our teachers with professional development around critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Those are key, not just within the Common Core Learning Standards when we talk about rigor, but really key skills in life, as you see, as evidenced by the robotics team. Really, a lot of the work that they're doing is around problem-solving. Given a task, how do you build a robot within these parameters to do that? And then finally, well, not finally, there's a second slide, but the implementation of effective differentiated instruction. How are we meeting the needs of all of our learners within our classrooms? Also supporting the expansion and development of content knowledge. We know we've continued to experience significant shifts in what we are expecting from our students, and that requires a shift in how our teachers do things. We've had conversations before about, especially in some cases at the elementary level, around mathematics and teacher preparation. how are we ensuring that our teachers have the necessary content knowledge as standards change to teach to the level of those standards. We need to make sure that we are providing our teachers with opportunities to continue to develop around the social and emotional needs of our students, as that's part of our goal. Classroom management techniques, and again, effective use of data, instructional technology. The district has made a major investment in technology over the years, and how are we ensuring that our teachers have the capacity to use that effectively with our students, and also, again, the 21st century skills and technological literacy. All of these are types of professional development that should be supported in order to help us achieve those goals. And different teams of teachers and different individual teachers will be at different places along this process, but these are the types of activities that we're committing to support through the plan. In terms of our partnerships and how does the professional learning plan relate to that, looking at professional development for our teachers and administrators around how to participate or lead effective professional learning communities. That's a process that we can use to manage change and manage to meet our goals, and we need to make sure that we provide people with that professional development. Effective strategies and techniques, again, around the social emotional needs of students as well as the physical needs of students, as well as how to communicate effectively with the community. Mr. Ellis just pointed out that that's an effort that we need to continue on as administrators, but it's also important that our teachers are effective at communicating with not only the parents of their classrooms, of their students in their classrooms, but also with the community at large. So continuing to provide those opportunities as well. In terms of goal number 3 and our fiscal responsibility, we want to make sure that we're using our resources, both human and capital resources, as effectively and efficiently as possible toward implementing the plan. We want to take advantage of a professional development that gives us cost savings, such as BOCES that are regional opportunities, and BOCES is one example, but there may be others where things are done regionally, and we can take advantage of participating in those events to help meet our needs. And then looking at, we have many job-embedded opportunities for professional development, common planning time and preparation time for our teachers, team meeting time, faculty meetings. All of these are opportunities. The scoring of assessments is a wonderful opportunity for professional development because we really learn to see what the standards look like in practice and evaluation. So making sure that we're taking advantage of those job-embedded opportunities to provide professional learning opportunities to our teachers, that we may not have to incur additional costs to send people to conferences or things of that nature. So that's the plan in a nutshell. As you know, you have a much longer document, and I'm trying to be cognizant of time and stay on track, but that's the plan in a nutshell. And again, thank you to the team members because they did a tremendous job.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, board members? Well, thank you.
Great job, Jim. Congratulations to you and your staff for developing that well-aligned plan, very cohesive. Lastly, on the superintendent's reports, we've got just a summary of the school calendar that's going to be before you for approval later in the evening. And some of the key dates on this, the first day for teachers is the day after Labor Day on September 2nd. And what is different, pointing this out for the public, is the conference day for teachers that will occur on the Wednesday. So we're starting school off with 2 conference days. From a family perspective, you're not going to be sending children to school until Thursday. So, and that part of that happens because of the way that Labor Day is structured in the break at the holiday time in winter. And next year, we probably won't see that again, as the winter recess will collapse from 2 weeks, most likely. That's the other piece here. We've got the holiday recess being a full 2 weeks. At the end of January, there's a full staff development day for 6 through 12. For the elementary school, it's half day. Some of that you have to make sure you're counting up the number of days children are in school. Half days count for state aid purposes, so that's why there's some differentiation between elementary and secondary school, because we also have for K-5, we've got those parent conferences that are full days off, so that when you're tallying them up, it's differentiated. And then at the end of the year, it looks very similar to this year with a Thursday graduation and a last day for teachers on a Friday. And then just for people to take a look at the last day of students for less day for students for K-5 and 6-8 is different as well. And that's the calendar that's going to be before the board later this evening. And after tonight, it'll be official.
Thank you, Dr. Grimm. Any questions or comments, board members, about the calendar? Thank you.
Okay.
This concludes the superintendent's reports. Board members, we are on page 5 of your agenda for board business. Financial items, establishment of a workers' compensation reserve. Mark, did you want to say something to summarize the recommendation?
Only to summarize, this is in follow-up to the presentation at the last board meeting. As you know, there have been some changes through the course of the last several years with regard to benefits as workers' compensation is being reformed. Penfield belongs to a consortium, a self-funded consortium of Monroe County School Districts that's been very successful. We've saved approximately $3 million over the life of the consortium. But one of the things we're doing now is, as a result of those changes and as a result of the reforms, we're going back and re-examining the reserve levels in the consortium for some of those old and outstanding cases. So individuals who might have permanent disabilities dating back many years. And the rules have changed somewhat with regard to the way that those might need to be reserved. We've identified as a board about 105 cases of 781 that might need reserve adjustments. Those reserve adjustments in total for the plan about $11 million, and our share of that would be approximately $653,000. So this isn't for sure yet. We're going to continue to work through that, but it is sure that there will be some necessary adjustments. So what I'm recommending, and this has been reviewed with the district's auditor, is that we establish a reserve for the potential of those claims. Tonight's action establishes the reserve, but it doesn't fund it. We'll be coming back to this again at future board meetings in June, later in June, again in August, and potentially following up later in the next school year. So we'll get multiple looks at this as we go along, but tonight just establishes the idea of the reserve, and the language that you see in the consortium, or I'm sorry, later in the agenda, authorizes that establishment.
Thank you, Mark. Board members, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Penfield Central School District pursuant to Section 6J of the General Municipal Law as follows. The board hereby establishes a reserve fund to be known as the Workers' Compensation Reserve Fund, and the source of funds for such reserve fund shall be such amounts as may be provided therefore by budgetary appropriation, permissible transfers from other reserve funds, or such other funds as may be legally appropriated. And monies in such reserve fund may be appropriated only for the purposes set forth in General Municipal Law, Section 6J4, including payment 6J.
Point 4.
Point 4, okay, sorry, thank you. Including payment of compensation and benefits, medical, hospital, or other expense authorized by Article 2 of the Workers' Compensation Law and expenses of administering the district self-insurance program pursuant to such law. And the treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to deposit and invest the monies of such fund in accordance with Section 10 and 11 of the General Municipal Law and other applicable law. And this resolution shall take effect immediately. So may I have a motion, please, that this resolution be approved?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Abatement Monitoring and Testing Service Bid Award. As part of the district's 2013 capital project, Scribner Entrance Bay Trail Transformer, the district will perform abatement monitoring and material testing. This work will consist of air sample analysis testing and bulk sample analysis testing during construction. The construction manager has solicited quotes for abatement monitoring and material testing during this work. The costs of these services are included as an incidental cost in the construction project and are not part of any other bid. You have the results of the quotes in your agenda. At this time, please, may I have a motion that the Board of Education authorize the awards as detailed in your agenda and further authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute any necessary document. Any questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Amendment to the contract with SEI Design for Indian Landing Sewer Project. On January 28, 2014, the Board of Education authorized a contract with SEI Design in the amount of $19,500 based on an estimated project budget of $187,500 for the emergency Indian Landing Sewer Project. This agreement was prior to the discovery of asbestos in the crawl space, which has increased the budget of the project to $487,000. SEI has requested an amendment in the amount of $4,000 to cover the required additional architectural and hazardous materials design associated with the asbestos work. Approval of this contract amendment is recommended. May I have a motion, please, that the Board of Education approves a contract amendment totaling $4,000 as described above and authorizes the signature of the superintendent on any necessary documents. Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Renewal of the intermunicipal fuel agreement. The district allows the Monroe County Sheriff's Department to gas its patrol cars as the district pumps. The district is reimbursed for this gas by Monroe County through an intermunicipal agreement. The county is charged based on our cost of gas on state contract plus a 10-cent per gallon surcharge. The district initially entered into this agreement in 2006-2007 and has renewed it annually. Either party may discontinue the agreement with 60 days' notice. Whereas the County of Monroe has indicated a desire to extend the intermunicipal agreement with the Penfield Central School District, and whereas the Board of Education finds that there is mutual benefit to such an arrangement, therefore be it resolved that the Superintendent of Schools is hereby authorized to extend the intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe for the provision of vehicular refueling by the county for the period of September 1st, 2014 through August 31st, 2015. May I have a motion, please, that this be approved? Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Item 5, and this was hand-carried to the meeting, although we received it ahead of time by email, so I hope everybody had a chance to look at it. And it should be in your packet here. Bay Trail Gym and Scribner Roof bid results. And we have a recommendation for a rejection of the general construction bids for Scribner Roof and Bay Trail Gym. Mark, did you want to say anything?
Yes,
about
I just briefly explained. So as you know, the project, the total authorization available for this project is $1.9 million. So from that, you need to set aside, we're 8% for construction contingency and also some funds for incidental costs such as asbestos testing, monitoring, contracts such as architect, construction manager, and so forth. So after those set-asides, there is $1,407,000, approximately $1.4 million left over for award. The base bids, the project was bid with a base bid and various alternates. Without award of the alternates, so just the base bids, the total would be approximately $148,000 over budget. So we've had quite a series of conversations as to what a next step would be. Of the 4 contracts, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and general, really the amount of work that's done in this particular project in the 3 trades, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, is very minor and really can't be usefully reduced. However, we can, and those bids were competitive. And based on the analysis of the construction manager, were pretty fairly priced. we can hold those bids for 45 days. So the life of those bids is good for 45 days. So what we recommend is that we hold those, essentially take no action on them, reject the general contract, the general construction contract, that's $1.2 million, and rebid the general construction contract with additional alternates built in. Those additional alternates would be some of the roofing at Scribner. The roof work at Scribner is on 3 different elevations. There's 3 different pieces of the roof, if you will. So we'll split it up and bid those pieces of the project as alternates separately. The anticipation is that we would then not award one of those alternates. We need to see what the costs are, but we anticipate, based on our estimate of what the value of that work is, that by not awarding 1 or 2 of those portions of roof, that we would be able to bring the project in under budget. The idea then would be that we would need to resaturate. Those roofs are not currently leaking, but they are at the end of their life. That's why they are scheduled for replacement. We would need to resaturate. That's built-up roof, not membrane roof, so we need to resaturate the non-replaced piece and put those, and that which would give us a breathing room, if you will, of 1 or 2 years, and roll those areas of roof into our next capital project, which is going to be under development by the Facilities Committee. So I would anticipate that part of that would be roofing. We know that next up in our batting order is roofing at Harris Hill. So there's always roof work. We would not do this piece now and defer it for later. The alternative would be to try and identify something in the gym portion of the project to not be done. And essentially, we've already done that. Portions of that project were bid as alternates. And if you look through the alternate list that was provided by the construction manager, you'll see things like wall pads, score clocks, and other like items that are not going to be awarded. So they were pulled out as alternates, the idea being that if we could award, we would do those. But we carefully looked at those items to make sure they were things that we could do that didn't fundamentally change the nature of the project, that didn't necessarily cause us not to do something that we promised the voters in terms of the referendum that we were going to do. So we won't be awarding those alternates for the gym project. It's already shrunk. This next step would shrink the portion of the roofing work that we're proposing. So tonight, all that needs to happen is that we reject the general trades bid. We will be running an ad tomorrow or the day after announcing a rebid. We will rebid that, and we've already polled you to ask for a special board meeting on June 10th, I believe, or 9th was the proposed date. We would like to bring it back to be able to award bids then and be able to continue this summer with the construction.
All right. Thank you, Mark. So may I have a motion, please, that all bids received for general trades for the Scribner roof and Bay Trail Gym contract number GT200 be rejected?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? I do have a question. So will all the additional language that was carried here, will this be reflected in the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All those in favor?
I'm sorry, I was just going to
Sorry.
follow. The entire agenda item appears in the minutes, so.
Very good. Okay. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Donations totaling $2,934 for items in the 2013-2014 budget have been granted to district schools as listed in your agenda from Harris Hill PTA, Harris Hill Elementary staff, and from Indian Landing Elementary HSA and Indian Landing Elementary receiving grants. May I have a motion, please, that the Board of Education approve an amendment totaling $2,934 to the 2013-2014 budget as shown above. The amount submitted both as revenue and expenditure items and express its gratitude to the donors for their generous support of Penfield schools. Questions or comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. And that brings us to policy review. We have policies that are back here for a second reading and approval. First one is 6551, Family Medical Leave Act, and our second policy is 5420, Procurement Cards and Credit Accounts. Let's start with a motion on the table. Do I have a motion, please, that the Board of Education approve the policies as recommended above? Thank you. Did we have any comments from the public or anything?
We did not.
No, we did not. Any more additional questions from board members? All right, thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Approval of 2014-2015 school calendar. We just quickly reviewed the school calendar and now it is time to approve it. So may I have a motion, please, that the Board of Education approve the 2014-2015 school calendar as presented. Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. PHS textbook approval, and this is a book that was presented to us for AP Literature for grades 11 and 12, How to Read Literature Like a Professor. May I have a motion, please, that the Board of Education approve the textbook recommended? Any questions or comments? Thank you. Any comments from the public about it or anything? Yes, no, thank you. All right. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you. President's remarks. I just have a couple. First one is the May 20th, 2014 vote results. On the screen you have the vote results from the budget vote and board election that we just had. Proposition number 1 has passed, and that's the budget proposition. Proposition number 2 for purchase of buses has passed also. We had 4 candidates running for the 2 seats on the Board of Education. And Ms. Benali Chitti was elected to a 3-year term commencing on July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2017. Mrs. Rutan was elected to a 3-year term commencing on July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2017. On behalf of this board, I would like to thank all the residents who came out and voted, thank the candidates, having 4 of them. It's always a good thing to have people who want to participate in what is going on in the school district, so thank you everyone. Camille, welcome back. And I'm looking for you again. Yeah. So welcome back and welcome to Lisa, who will be joining us in July. All right, and my second comment regards the art exhibit that is at Canal Town Roasters. We've had a beautiful presentation regarding, artwork. We were invited to the ceramics firing, and some of us went and attended that, and that was beautiful. I wanted board members to know that until the end of the month, you could go to Canal Town Roasters and enjoy a cup of coffee, but also look at the artwork of our students. I had the pleasure of being there with Camille and Catherine, and and it's just beautiful because our artwork really decorates the place. It's a very nice opportunity for the students to have whatever they've done out in the community and for people to be able to see them. So very pretty ceramics that are there. And other than that, also another plug-in for what is being done by the health teachers with the GWI reenactment that Catherine and I attended at the high school. That was very tough to watch, but it was just an excellent presentation put together by the health teachers, the administration for the students before senior ball, and that was really great. So and our students were just great and very respectful of the whole presentation. So we really appreciate all the effort there. And I think that's it for President's remark. We have no legislative update. Under unfinished business, I have the question that always comes back at this time of the year. It's not a question, more of a statement. I haven't heard from any of you who would like to lead the 4th of July float for the board.
I'm going to be in Lake George. Sorry.
Okay. All right, so I think then the board will be unable to attend the parade, but we will be cheering either from home or sidelines, or I don't know, from wherever we are, maybe from Lake George, Barb. All right, thank you. We have no new business as this time, so may I have a motion, please, that the meeting be adjourned at 9:20 p.m.
Second.
Questions, comments? Thank you. All those in favor? 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you.